Hello, my name is Miss Amy. I'm one of the children's librarians here, and today we're going to make little book charms. So these are wonderful gifts, or if you have a fairy garden, you can leave them out for your little fairy friends, because that'll be waterproof at the very end. So you should be good. But these are, again, wonderful presents, especially for your favorite librarians. You guys haven't known me that long. Anyway, we're gonna start with, I'm gonna tell you what you actually need for this craft. So some of it can be super fancy. I'll show you the super fancy version. And then I'm gonna show you the kind of, I'm gonna use what I have around the house version. So the fancy version is just this 8-piece mini clay tool set that they have at Michael's. This, I believe, was $9.99 or $8.99. A lot of these you're not going to use for this specific craft, but it is useful. If you do get this set, let's see, these 3 tools, I don't know their names because I'm not like I am an artist, but not with the technical education. I just call this stick 1, stick 2, and steel stick. So I just use these. This one has like a little circle hoop that makes it really, really easy to sculpt out layers if you have 2 different colors, which we'll be using. This is just one kind of looks like a toothpick, a super thick toothpick, and this is really good for making pages, etches into the white pages. And then this one has like a little slanted edge, but it's really good for cutting through clay. So that's pretty much if you wanted to get fancy, you could get this, but I'm gonna pretty much show you, and we're gonna do together kind of what we have on hand version. So I'm gonna use a butter knife for my cutting tool, and we're gonna use the dull edge. And then I have a rolling pin, is to roll out the clay to flatten it. And then I have my favorite tool of tonight, which is the simple thumbtack. So those are your main tools, other than having white oven dry clay and then having another color of oven dry clay. So 2 different colors, and then Mod Podge at the very end to seal it and give it a little bit of sheen, and it waterproofs and weatherproofs it. So the next step is to find, and this is honestly the hardest, is to find good mini book covers. I'm going to leave you a link with what pages I used. So this has a good selection of J fiction. I'm gonna put her down. I was trying to see how long I could have her on my shoulder. Not very long. Okay. But as you can see, I've already used 1, 2, 3 different versions. So I'm just gonna pick one and we'll cut it out. Okay, so now that we have the equipment laid out, we're going to head and get started. So for my clay mat, my clay play mat, I actually just used a piece of aluminum foil. So this is really handy. The clay doesn't stick quite so bad. If you use like a paper plate, I would not do that. It's going to make you have such a rage because it's gonna ruin your clay. It won't peel off correctly. It'll peel off in clumps or strips, and it's just not worth it. So the same thing with a kitchen plate, ceramic or whatever, or glass. It does the same sort of bad peeling. So aluminum foil works really, really well. So I have my red and my white clay. So this will be for the pages, and this will be for the binding. So the object of the rolling is to make a giant puddle shape. Puddle shape. And to make grunting noises while you do this, because this is very intense physical activity. And it doesn't need to be super, super thin. I would say if you really wanted to measure it out and get super technical, which most of my crafts are not about that, but it would be 3-4 millimeters thick, I guess. This first puddle, anyway. Okay, so I got my first puddle right here. I'm going to actually cut out the book shape that I want first, or after, I guess. I probably should have done that first, but I got distracted by smashing Play-Doh plate. Okay, so I'm gonna pick another book cover. We're gonna do Wolf Hollow. Not read that. And I want to so the thing with this is we're going to use this book cover for multiple portions of this craft. The first thing we're going to use this cutout cover for is to measure both the pages and the binding portion. So we're going to look at our puddle right here that we have in our page, and I'm going to lay it on there. And then we're going to use the dull end of our butter knife, and we're going to pretty much etch around the book cover. So press, press. Okay. And then I'm just going to peel away the excess. It looks like a little croissant. If you sorry, I got distracted. You can make little croissant charms too if you wanted to. Alright. This is like, I don't know, one of my favorite parts for some reason. I get to see it taking shape. Okay, so we have roughly a white rectangle the size of the book spread. But you're wanting it to be actually a little bit smaller because it needs to wrap around this and the red binding. So I'm going to take my butter knife again, and this is not a science, I'm sorry. And you're going to just pretty much take off one edge, one of the short edges. So let me peel this off slowly, and the shape will get distorted a little bit when you peel it off, but we'll be able to fix it with the butter knife. So this is going to be too big for this once everything is combined and we need to wrap it around. So you're going to take your butter knife and you're going to pretty much shorten it by whatever this is. This is like I don't like half an inch shorter on that one side that I showed you. Math is not my forte. Okay, so now you're left with a short little rectangle. What you're gonna do with this short little rectangle is you're gonna fold it, because we're at fold it like it's the pages of a book. So short side to short side. Don't do the other thing unless you're gonna have like a really skinny, weird shaped book, which is cool, but it doesn't go with my cover. So, all right. So I got a little book, little white pages. I'm gonna take my butter knife and again, dull side down, and I'm just gonna tap on all sides, and this just helps create uniformity on all the edges. I'm gonna squish it. Okay. The other thing it does is it builds up the edges so they're a little bit taller, which you want the pages to look thicker so that it actually looks like a book rather than like a very thin notebook. So again, just kind of pressing, using this to shape. And the butter knife works just fine for that. Okay. So we got our white done for now, so I'm just going to set it aside. But now we're going to do pretty much the same thing minus a few steps to our white wall for our binding. So take your rolling pin, you flatten it, flattened it just like the white. Now we have a red petal, and we're going to take the same book, paper book, and we're going to lay it flat on here, and we're going to take the butter knife with the dull edge and do the exact same thing. The red you want to be rolled out thinner than the white. And peel our little croissants. Oop. Okay. Put that back where it goes. And then the other thing, I'm going to lay it flat still. We got to do the exact same thing with this one. So we got to short it by 1/2 inch. Well, we'll do a little bit less than 1/2 inch because this needs to wrap around the pages. So this needs to be a little bit bigger than the white. So I'm just going to trim one of the short edges to like a little bit less than 1/2 inch. Okay. So, like you can see this. Okay, so now I'm going to peel the red, and again it's going to distort it a little bit, but nothing we can't fix, nothing that's not normal. Okay. So we're going to take our white, and we're going to put the white, we're going to pretty much make the book right now, is what we're doing. So you're going to put your pages on one side. I'm going to do the right side facing me, so it would be your left. I'm going to put it down to the edge, close to the edge. Okay, so now it looks like that, like an open book. Now I'm going to take the red, and we're going to close it around the book. Look, you guys, you made your first little teeny tiny book without the details, but it looks like a book. Okay, so I'm just using my fingers right now just to kind of tweak the shape. I'm probably making it worse. Okay, so I'm gonna take my Thumbtack here, and this is like I think I've already said this, but this is another one of my favorite parts. So you're gonna take Thumbtack and you're gonna make little etches in the white part of the book, and this is gonna make it look like pages. So you can make as many as you like. You make long etches and short etches. It gives it more of a realistic look. Okay, so I made my little page etches. The other stuff that you can do, and I don't have eyelets, because I probably won't wear this as a necklace or earrings, because the ones that we've made together, these are a little bit heavier for ears, or my ears. But you can still take your Thumbtack or your eyelet, which is it looks kind kind of almost like a nail, but it's shorter. But it's the little connection piece for charms like this to connect to a necklace chain, or any other, like, or earring hoops. You can get those at Michael's, probably Walmart as well, any sort of craft store. But Thumbtack works too. You're just going to take this and make a hole as far as it'll go down into the top of where the binding would be. So we do this before it bakes, because once it bakes, it's hard as a rock, and you can't make the hole anymore. But made a little hole at the spine here. So our next step is to bake it. So you can set this on aluminum foil on the cookie sheet, on a cookie sheet. I don't know what the cookie sheet is, but a cookie sheet. And then you're gonna bake it for 7 to 10 minutes, checking really frequently, because there is a very, very fine line between this, like, it's like kind of like an avocado or a banana. It turns bad really, really quickly, so just be careful. It just depends on the size and thickness of your book, in terms of how long it'll bake correctly. The other thing, when you bake it, do not put the paper part on this. This is like the last step. I talked to myself for like 5 minutes before I realized the camera quit playing, so that's why the weird cut is there. So the last thing I said was, do not put paper into the oven. So the only thing that should be going in the oven is the clay. Once you take it out of the oven, give it a minute or two to cool off. The clay will be a little bit hot. The next step is to take your paper cover, and you're going to Podge it and wrap it around your book. So the way we do that, this one is not, okay, ignore me. We're just gonna take Mod Podge, and I'm gonna do one side first. So I'm putting the Mod Podge on the clay. You can do it on the paper first, it doesn't really matter. Just do it one side at a time, because the Mod Podge dries pretty quickly. And then the other. And make sure you get the spine too with some of the Mod Podge, so that it sticks as well. And then we're gonna fold it. And we have ourselves our very first book charm. But we're not done, we're almost done. So we're going to take the Mod Podge yet again, and we're going to do probably a couple layers. We're gonna do the outside now. And we're gonna do absolutely every inch of this. So the bits of clay that are visible, the book, like the pages and the binding, the edges, and the paper. So this is gonna seal it up, make it pretty well waterproof, and give it a nice kind of sheen as well. So you let this dry. The Mod Podge takes maybe just a couple minutes. You can do a couple coats. After the first coat, you can see how it looks, and you can already kind of see the sheen that it's going to take. But if you want it to be shinier, just add another coat. So I have like 3 different little books here that I've attempted to make. So I have the Bone Sparrow, which is it's a really good book. I have Wolf Hollow, another really great book, and I have the Marvels, which is another great book. So 3 little book charms. It's really simple to use. I showed you what the fancy version was with the fancy tools, but really you just need a thumbtack and a butter knife, and either a whatever rolling pin or something flat. You could use the palm of your hand, I guess, if you really wanted to. This just makes it easier. So all in all, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes of prep time for the craft and another 7 to 10 minutes of baking time. And then you have cute little presents to give to people, or you could like hide them around town in gardens. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope it wasn't too frustrating of a process. Please be kind to yourself. It takes time to do this. It took time for me to do this. It took me 3 tries to get it. That's why I have 3 different books here. But it really is an easy craft once you get more comfortable with it. Because it's not going to be a perfect little book. There's going to be imperfections, but that's what makes it look, I don't know, homey and interesting. So thank you for joining me today. Again, have a wonderful day.